Cable Bahamas has always been considered the innovator.
People can have confidence in Cable Bahamas as a mobile operator because of our past history. We've proven to the Bahamian community that we are in fact able to manage additional services as a telecommunications company.
Customers expect the best from Cable Bahamas.
The technology that we bring is revolutionary technology because we know that the Bahamian public, they deserve it, and Cable Bahamas is here to bring it to them.
We are ready. Turn us on.
Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins blasts the PLP over the Rubis fuel leak. The Deputy Prime Minister contradicts the BEC chairman over IAAF blackout concerns. Prices for Junkanoo Carnival costumes cut by half. Plus, the Teachers Union signs a new industrial agreement. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Happy news tonight. Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins adding fuel to the political firestorm surrounding the Rubis fuel leak. In the House of Assembly this evening, he questioned whether government had an interest in suppressing the Black and Veatch report and renewed calls for campaign finance reform. Rollins also called for a select committee to investigate the matter and slammed Marathon MP Jerome Fitzgerald for his comments concerning the report. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins was back at it again in the House of Assembly, blasting his fellow PLP MPs and their handling of the Rubis gas spill ordeal. Today, Rollins wasted no time in calling names and saying what he thinks should have happened after the government found out about the leak.
What motivation did the government have to want to keep this matter secret?
Rollins said it causes one to consider a number of things, topping that list, campaign reform and what he called the government's interest in suppressing the information.
Is there a motive to try and protect a corporate entity that may have at some time made a contribution of a political nature that I'm not suggesting that there is anything illegal about corporations making contributions to political parties. We happen not to have any campaign finance legislation, Mr. Speaker.
The government was presented with a report on the spill in February 2014. However, it was only made public 2 weeks ago after demands from angry residents at a town meeting. The report concluded that residents who live and work near the gas station on Robinson Road were exposed to chemicals that could create health risks. Rollins didn't stop there, though. He also questioned if the Texaco sale had anything to do with the decision not to reveal the findings of the report. The Fort Charlotte MP, who was no stranger to hitting out at the Prime Minister, didn't leave Christie out of this one either. Rollins called out Christie, who stood before the United Nations and proclaimed the Bahamas would support calls for environmental protections. Rollins also questioned why tests were not done as yet to determine if illnesses were caused as a result of the spill. Deputy Chief Medical Officer DeLon Brennan has already said the Ministry of Health plans to screen Marathon residents for any health problems that could have been caused by the Rubis gas leak. However, Rollins says it's too late for that.
What information is there to be able to tie the oil spill to sickness or death?
Benzene, a known cause of cancer, was one of the chemicals found as a result of that spill. Rollins also once again hit out at Marathon MP Jerome Fitzgerald for what Rollins said was putting the government before Marathon constituents. Fitzgerald has already admitted that he didn't say anything about the findings of the report because it was before cabinet, and if he said anything, he would be fired. Rollins says something doesn't add up, and he's not one to play ham and turkey politics.
Cheap toys from China that you give out, and that's supposed to make you some great representative of the people? Toys that may last for 2 or 3 days? Well, I don't want to be that type of member of parliament, Mr. Speaker. Ham and turkey politics?
Several members stood on points of order, including Leader of Government Business in the House, Dr. Bernard Nottage, who said it was obscene that anyone would suggest that the government would withhold or suppress information that would impact the public's health. Bamboo Town MP Renwood Wells seconded the motion for the appointment of the Select Committee. When it was time to vote, though, 7 members voted in favor, 15 opposed, and 15 were absent. The motion was dismissed. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
One day after Bahamas Electricity Corporation Chairman Leslie Miller said the IAAF World Relays could mean blackouts, the Deputy Prime Minister quickly refuted those claims, telling NB12 today this weekend's World Relays will not compromise BEC's services. Youth, Sports and Culture Minister Dr. Danny Johnson also shut down Miller's comments, insisting the major sporting event will cause no blackouts and the National Stadium has 4 generators. Vonique Toot reports.
Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis has contradicted comments by BEC Chairman Leslie Miller, who told NB12 yesterday that residents across New Providence could face power cuts during this weekend's IAAF World Relays to avoid an international embarrassment. Davis said today that's not the case.
The fact that the IAF relays is on this weekend will not in any way compromise the services to the whole island as is planned through the course of the load shedding through the weekend.
Miller said on Tuesday when the brother in the East is sweating, people in the stadium will be able to watch the relays. He added, BEC will do what it takes to ensure that ongoing load-shedding exercises do not impact the international sporting event. However, Sports and Culture Minister Dr. Danny Johnson said in the House of Assembly today, don't blame the relays for any blackouts.
The IAAF World Relays will cause blackouts. The IAAF relays will cause no blackouts. The Thomas Augustus Robinson Stadium has 4 generators, 20,000 gallons of fuel, and can actually run on its own for 5 days.
About 1,000 athletes, coaches, and officials are expected in town for the games as New Providence residents continue to express frustration after suffering through multiple power cuts in recent days. Davis, who has ministerial responsibility for BEC, says decades of issues at the cash-strapped corporation have caught up with them.
The historic challenges that has attended the generation plants at Clifton and Blue Hills has caught up with us. And we are now trying to address that as quickly as we can. And the load shedding that is occurring now is as a result of that.
Officials at BEC say load-shedding exercises are expected to continue until next week. However, Davis says they are working to minimize the impact on New Providence residents.
Hopefully, if all things goes well, we may be able to not have to load shed as widespreadly as we have been doing.
Miller said recently BEC is in crisis mode and faces a worsening situation in the absence of urgent action and reform. However, Davis did not comment on government's delay in concluding the BEC reform process. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Toot.
Long Island Member of Parliament Loretta Butler Turner has accused government of defacing the Senate by decorating the building and Parliament Square with Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival signs and billboards. If you've driven past Rawson Square at night, it's hard to miss the illuminated parliamentary buildings, billboards, and the scantily clad cardboard cutout near Sir Milo Butler's bust. Butler Turner says the decor ruins the sanctity of the country's hallowed chambers.
Because when you look in our public square today and you look at our Senate building right under the coat of arms, the building has been defaced with carnival signage, Mr. Speaker. The sanctity of the Senate building now, it talks about the carnival. Are we participants in a carnival in these honorable chambers, Mr. Speaker? It seems like we are lost in this masquerade.
Butler Turner says though government has tried to justify allocating $9 million for Carnival by insisting it will draw visitors to the Bahamas, the posters seem to be targeting Bahamians.
This is not the time for fun and frolic and for our buildings, our parliamentary buildings, to be draped in such a carnival thing. Mr. Speaker, we've had Junkanoo for years and years from time immemorial. And I thought the carnival was here to bring new infusion of people to our country. But as you drive around New Providence and throughout the Bahamas, it appears that we're just promoting it to our Bahamian people, which is not going to bring much more money.
Tourism Minister Obi Wilchcombe refuted these claims.
Member for Long Island is misinterpreting and creating public awareness at home with an event that's taking place with marketing and the fact that the government is promoting abroad. On radio stations in the United States and elsewhere, Mr. Speaker, on the highways of the United States, billboards, all over the world we are promoting the Carnival, Bahamas Carnival. Here in the Bahamas, obviously in places such as the central places of the country, you have the awareness.
Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival is set for May 7th to the 9th. Well, Donna Facili was back in court today to learn if she would be granted bail after her initial bail application was denied by Justice Stephen Isaacs earlier this month. Facili is charged with the murder of her husband, Australian podiatrist Philip Facili. However, according to Facili's attorney, Mario DeSille, this case is more complex than it seems. Simone Davis reports.
The 54-year-old fought back tears as she waited to hear if she would remain behind bars or be set free. At the beginning of his argument, attorney Muriel DeSille referenced Vasili's comments in the affidavit originally filed on March 30th, where she said, "I did not kill my husband or had a fight with him the night before his death." Police previously reported that she admitted to a fight with the deceased and the marks on her arms and his stabbing death were results of the altercation. However, Vasili maintained her innocence and said in the affidavit that the marks on her arms were a result of a laser treatment, not a fight. DeSille argued that the evidence presented in this case was scanty, adding that the prosecution carried out an inadequate investigation. He added that the prosecution only investigated the theory of wife killing her husband and did not investigate in an open-minded way by considering suicide or lifestyle. DeSille said it appears that the applicant is being punished and held in custody when no evidence has been brought against her out of fear that she would flee to Australia. He said Vasili has strong ties with the Bahamas and no reason to flee the country. He also presented conditions that she would follow if granted bail, which included remaining in the country, reporting to a local police station twice a day, surrendering all travel documents to immigration for cancellation, not being allowed to apply for another Australian passport, and wear an electronic bracelet. Prosecutor Neil Braithwaite defended the prosecution's objection to bail while admitting that the court did say that the evidence was scanty, but he did not accept that. However, Justice Isaacs said he agreed that the evidence presented in this case is scanty. Braithwaite also argued that the defendant's murder charge is very serious and her home in Australia and relatives in Florida are proof of access to homes in other jurisdictions. Therefore, she should not be granted bail. He also said the conditions presented by DeSille are no more than promises made by any applicant seeking bail and are not acceptable. DeSille also referenced Vasili's medical conditions, the fact that she has no previous convictions and no other pending matters, as he requested that she be granted reasonable bail. As Vasili left the courtroom, the one person she requested to see was her 10-month-old grandchild.
My grandchild, Marius. No. I also love you. Friday. Hey. Sorry.
Justice Stephen Isaacs says he intends to make a written decision on the question of bail on Friday at noon. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
When NB12 returns, Junkanoo Carnival costume prices have been cut in half. Stay with us.